Lloyd's wife and sweetheart. She also came from pioneer stock, and her ancestors came to America from England, Scotland, and France. Jacques Flandreau came to the United States in the 1600s for religious freedom, and the Flandreaux settled in the Midwest in Kansas, and Art was Mom's dad, and he came west in the early 1900s with his family from Kansas. Some of you might know that Flandreau name is a little bit familiar in the Pocatello area if you've driven a Ford. So you had Flandreau Ford and also Flandreau Drive here in town was named after C.Ed Flandreau. C.Ed and my mother were cousins. Their fathers were brothers. So on Mom's mother's side, they came from England and Scotland. Yeah, all of her grandparents joined the LDS Church in the mid-1800s, and all of them crossed the plains as original Mormon pioneers. Mom came from very strong pioneer heritage. She, as well, was determined and strong and devoted and very driven. She tells a story of her. She says, in 1860, this is in Mom's words, in 1860, my great-grandparents, William and Elizabeth Cooper, crossed the plains by ox and wagon with the Ross Company. Elizabeth was pregnant with her first child at the time, and although the midwife rode in the wagon, Elizabeth walked the entire 1,000 miles to Zion. William and Elizabeth Cooper arrived in Salt Lake in September of 1860. Okay, women, do the math here. September of 1860, just before their daughter Elizabeth was born, October 6th. So Beverly held true to her pioneer heritage throughout her life. She and Dad met when she was attending school at University of Utah in Salt Lake City, where she was born and raised, and moved here in the early 50s to raise a family and join Dad in their new life together.
So what hasn't been mentioned is that we have a strong clown history in our family, working for the circus, and it doesn't come out much. But I'll go into that in a minute. It may have been a heredity thing by marriage. So my mother's great-great-great-grandmother was working for a family in England. She was a young girl. She was alone. I'm not sure that part. And that's how she came in contact with the missionaries. And the missionaries were there and proselyting the truth. And she was very curious if they would speak the truth at all times. So she asked them, and this was kind of an important thing for her to know. She said, you know, elders, what do you get when you cross an elephant and a rhino? And the elders spoke the truth. Albino. So she made her way across the plains. She had a layover in Nebraska where she met William Cooper, and he was a builder, and they married. And took a couple years to get their outfit together, you know, outfits like trucks, not fashion, and wagons and horses. So they got their outfit together and came across. But when she met William Cooper, he was a builder, but she found out he was also a circus performer. And this was really intriguing to her because she was, you know, from England. It was all kind of fascinating. And she said, well, tell me about it. He says, well, you know, I was a human cannonball. She said, well, how did that go? She says, well, I did okay, but, you know, I decided one day it's probably not for me. I'm going to go on to build more things. So I told the ringmaster that I was going to quit. And he said, oh, Bill, you can't quit. We just don't get very men of your caliber around here. So they came into Salt Lake, and William Cooper helped build the Salt Lake Temple as part of the heritage. Now we'll turn it over to Dad.